Hi, I'm Prachi Hara, and this is my personal project um, about multi-tenancy for subject to 81 cloud computing. So I've created a login page, and let's look at it. So here we have provided the login ID and password for the grader. You can see I have 4 tenants, and each tenant is deployed in different zones, and each tenant has a scaling property. We'll look at it. So my first tenant is Abhishek Upadhyay. My second tenant is Mansi Milan Joshi. My third tenant is Ayushi Mittal. And my last tenant is Professor Paul's class diagram. So I have 3 students of 202 as my tenant, and one is Professor Paul's class diagram. So let's test all of 4 of them. So like we have given the scenario that we have to test for test case 4. So let's pick up the test case 4. So here is the class diagram. So while submission in multi-tenancy, I've given 4 tenants have all different kinds. So we can select class diagram. I can say score, say 99, and comment I can put as complete, and we can select grade as A. We can save the data into our RDS. Data saved successfully. We can go back. Let's check tenant 2. We can select the diagram. We can select grade, and we can say good. So for each of the tenants, I've provided a separate interface. So they have different columns. Let's do tenancy, test for, submit. We see that they've got the class diagram. Let's class, select diagram. We say maybe we want to give 95, and good. Correct, and comment. Section we have provided place to provide comments, and the last one is Professor Paul. So we have the code over here for this diagram, the sample code. So paste the code, submit. So we get the output. It's class diagram, and comment is passed because we are not judging this since it's the professor's diagram. Save. So data saved successfully. If you want to regrade it, supposedly we want to or maybe regrade this one. So last time when we have written pass in our data, so this time maybe we can write check again. Check. So only the latest information would be displayed. Like when I go back, I can see checked instead of passed over here. So to show that it's already been graded. So this is about my 4 tenants. Let's have a look about the technical perspective of this project. So let's have a look at the RDS structure which I have created. So I've created an RDS in cloud, and I've connected my SQL workbench with it. So this is how I have created the table structure. So if you look at it, it's similar to the lab of multi-tenancy which we did in the class. So there is a tenant table, then we have tenant fields, and then we have tenant data. So in tenant table, it's like I have my tenant 1 Abhishek, I have like ID is 001, 2, 3, 4. Then Mansi, Ayush, and Professor Walls. This is the description I've given. So my first tenant has diagram, score, grade, comment. My second tenant has only diagram, grade, and comment. Third has diagram, marks, and comment. And fourth has only, because it's Professor Paul's diagram, and comment. So if we look at the structure, let's see. So these are the 4 tenants which I have in my tenant table. So we can also have a look at all the tenant 1 has what are the fields they have and what are the data types. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have 3 for tenant 2, and then for tenant 3 also we have 3 columns, and tenant 4. So the same similar query would run for us, so we can find the information over there. So let's look, it's like the data, whether it's stored or not. So we gave the marks 99, we gave grade A, and we gave complete. Let's check for the other tenants also. So similarly, it was a class diagram, we gave grade A and we wrote code. So tenant 3 we gave 95 and we gave correct, and tenant 4, our last one, since we are selecting the limit and decreasing, we should get checked instead of passed. But if we don't provide the limit and we check, we can select all the data for tenant 4 in this, and we see we have passed, we have checked, we have whatever we have done in the beginning. So this is my RDS structure, and the data is being stored in RDS. So let's have a look at the technical aspect of how I have deployed this application over the cloud. So I've created what I've done. I've created 5 load balancers, one for each tenant and one for the gateway, the main login page, which has the index to connect to following. So then what I've done is like I have put my code, I've created a repository in EC2 container, and then I have dockerized my application and pushed it over here. Let's look at it. So if you go to tenant one, then if you view push commands, this is how you connect to it. Then this is the second step where you can do a Docker build. Then this is the third step of tagging your image, and this is the last step of pushing it. So you can follow these 4 simple steps and you can do it. Whenever there is a change in the code, all you can do is do a Docker build and then push it again. So you can see I have one image that is 1.0, and then I have pushed 1.1, which is the latest. Then after creating a repository, I created cluster. So similarly, I have 5 clusters, one for each tenant and one for the gateway. When you look at the cluster, it's like number of instances it's running. You can see task. I've created a task. So to create a task, you have to go to task definition. In task definition, I have provided the container name. Okay, and over here is the image, the corresponding Docker image which my repository has, the URL which is there. So if you look at the JSON over here, this is the name which I get over there. After creating the task definition, go into the cluster and then create the service. So once you have created your service, you have your load balancer in place and repository, you create a service. So this service defines, it's like which load balancer you are using. It has the port mapping, and it also defines the order scaling property, that what is the minimum number of tasks you have and what's the maximum number. And then it's like what is the CPU utilization. If it's less than 10%, then you have to remove a task, or if it's high, you want to increase it. So this is how I've created the cluster. The advantage of cluster rather over normal way of pushing into an EC2 instance and scaling it is like you can easily push your changes, dockerize and push your changes. You do not have to remember, it's like an individual file, and then you can just easily scale it rather than. So if you look over here, this is what I use to show my dashboard. Okay, so if I look, this is my gateway link which I have used for the gateway. Let's have a look at tenant 1. So you can see tenant 1 is there. So this way, each tenant is scaled into 3 different zones. It's like 1, A, B, C, 2A, 2B, 2C. Similarly, 2, similarly 3, tenant 3, and tenant 4, and gateway. This provides easy scaling properties. It provides, it's like you can scale up and down easily, and you can provide changes, make changes, and easily push your code using the container service. So this is how I have deployed my project using RDS and EC2 instance and Docker, and provided, and I have done as mentioned in the code, requirement that it should be in Oregon region. And I hope you like it and you use the similar technique. And thank you for watching.